recording this session so you can watch it for later playback just in case you miss something or have any other questions later. Hello and thank you for joining us here on BigMarker today. It is a terribly rainy day out in Chicago. In fact, it's getting gray enough that you can't see the skyscrapers around our office in downtown. So hopefully where you are at, it is warm and dry. So today we're going to be talking about troubleshooting. So most of the stuff we will be talking about today is technical issues on BigMarker and how to overcome some of them. So if at any point in time you have questions, feel free to chat them to us. Today you are here with Andy. He is one of our community heroes at BigMarker. You can reach him at andy@bigmarker.com. And Joe, that's who I am talking. And I am also a community hero here at BigMarker. You can reach me at joe@bigmarker.com. So typically the two guys you talk to on the site are usually us. Sometimes you might be talking to another gentleman named Andy as well, which can get kind of confusing. But his last name is Bungert compared to Papier. So Andy will be manning our chat today. So troubleshooting. So basically today we're going to talk about where to find support, the system requirements, some community troubleshooting, web conferencing troubleshooting, some tips from us, and obviously answering any questions that you have. So feel free to ask specific questions as you have them in regards to how to overcome something. Please try to do it in this particular order. So save the web conferencing questions for the web conferencing section. And note, this is not a demo on how to use BigMarker. We will be scheduling several of those coming up in the future. So we do not have our tour on us today, so this is going to be specifically troubleshooting compared to how to use the community, etc. So how to get a hold of us. We are here in downtown Chicago, so our office hours are 9 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Typically, we have somebody in the office from like 8 or 8:30 till about 7. So they do bleed over. So if we're not in the office, please feel free to go to help.bigmarker.com. That is our help center. We do try to update as much as possible, and it has pretty good guides on how to use BigMarker, and it has really good sections on troubleshooting. If you typically email support@bigmarker.com, that is usually me who emails you back. If you email hello@BigMarker, that is Andrew Bungert. He's another community hero here at BigMarker. If you chat in the lower left-hand corner and use our little OLAR chat, that happens to be Andy who manages that chat. So those are the 3 different people you might be talking to at any given time. So just to let you know when you message those, who you will get. If you want to also reach us on BigMarker, because obviously we are on BigMarker all the time, you can go to the community organizers community, which is that URL right down there, and feel free to message us on there or post to the group. Andy and I are pretty good about getting back to that group in under hopefully 12 hours. Sometimes it takes up to 24. And that's how we feel with support too, is at the most at the longest it will take 24 hours to get a response. At the shortest we get back very, very quickly, especially with the live chat. And specifically, too, if you are sending support questions, the more information you give us, the easier it makes our job, and it makes it much faster for us to help you as well, especially if you have technical questions. Demos, if you do want a private demo, we do offer public ones, which happen as much as we can. If you would like a private demo, that is great. We can schedule one for you, and please email us to suggest a few times that would work for you. We do need at least 48 hours to schedule a demo in advance. We do not do instantaneous demos just based on how our schedules are built. So we need to make sure that we schedule it out in advance. So please feel free to email us and we'll get a demo scheduled to you with either myself, Andy, or Andy. So cool. Yes, as Andy's saying, we wear many hats. So here are the system requirements. Basically, as it breaks down to troubleshooting is most of the technical issues you will have on BigMarker is probably because you do not fit into the system requirements. And then if you do fit into those system requirements, typically you have a really good and very great experience, and your technology works. You can get into the conference room, you can hear me, you can share your audio and video, and everything's amazing. Typically where you will come into issues is using an outdated browser, using an outdated computer, using an outdated version of Flash, not having a fast enough internet connection, etc. So we'll go through these point by point quickly. So obviously with the hardware, you need a microphone and a webcam in order to share your audio and video. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's just something to know. You can buy USB connectable webcams and microphones on the internet. In fact, Amazon sells some for very cheap. If you go to our help center, we do have a section of where you can find ones that we recommend. Personally, I'm using actually my computer's webcam and microphone because it's just easier sometimes to do. So for the operating systems, again, with our conference room, we are Flash-based. So these are all the Flash-based operating systems that Flash actually supports. So we have Windows XP, Vista, Windows 7 or later, Microsoft OS X 10.6 or later, and all these different Linux and Ubuntu as well. So if you're on the Linux system, those are the numbers that we use. So for web browsers, that again is, we are browser-based. So that means everything on BigMarker runs in your browser. So that means you need to have the most updated browsers to be able to use BigMarker. When you're using a service like Skype, GoToMeeting, WebEx, typically those are downloads, so you're downloading an application from that corporation. With BigMarker, you are just logging in through your web browser to make it easier for you and your attendee. That just means you need to make sure you keep up your technology on those web browsers. As Andy's pointing out, we suggest Firefox and Chrome. Personally, I am on Firefox right now, and Andy is on Chrome. That is what a majority of our BigMarker staff members use. Chrome. I think I'm the only one that uses Firefox. So that's something to know. The worst one to use is Internet Explorer. We have the most problems with Internet Explorer because it does not auto-update. So as we do additions to our website, everything we are building for are these modern browsers. So if you're on an older version of Internet Explorer, i.e. 7, 8, 9, we are not building the website or the conference room for those outdated browsers. So you just need to know to update those browsers. And if your work doesn't allow you to update the browsers, suggest to them to let you download Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox to be able to use at work. And typically, too, with some of the things we're suggesting today, if you're hosting a session and somebody's having a problem, if you find out that they're on Internet Explorer 7, there's their problem. With Adobe Flash, you need to be 11.3 or higher. The other big thing is your internet speed needs to be of a certain connection. So we say at the minimum 1 megabyte per second. That's the minimum required, and it needs to be a consistent, non-firewall 1 millibyte per second plus. We would suggest, if it was Andy and I telling you, you should probably have more than 1 megabyte per second if you're sharing your audio and video, just because it takes a lot of bandwidth to share the audio and video. And he's posting a link right there with speedtest.net, and that's how you can find out how fast your internet actually is. So firewall, if you're entering the conference room and you have a firewall, sometimes it will block the conference room, so that's just something to know as well. Mobile, right now we're in the process of developing a mobile app for the iPad, the iPhone, and your Android devices. We even may get crazy and do BlackBerry as well sometime in the near future, but those are the 3 ones we are developing right now, and I am told it should be done hopefully sooner rather than later. We're having pretty good progress on that. So right now, though, the conference room will not work on your iPads or iPhones, unfortunately. So system requirements, basically before we can offer any support, we really do, when we ask you questions about like what browser you're on and what version you're on, we're basically trying to find out if you meet our system requirements. So you can go to, Andy has posted a link earlier, supportdetails.com, and that website's awesome. It shows you all of the different things that are happening on your browser, what version of Flash you have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that information helps us give you the ability to know what's going on. And again, most issues, around 90% of the issues on BigMarker are caused by not meeting these requirements. Again, we see a lot of people that have problems, obviously, with Internet Explorer 7. It's a web browser that's been outdated for 4 years, and in internet time, that is, centuries, basically. So community issues. One of the community issues people run into, and we're going to go through these, and obviously we're in the community section, so please feel free to ask questions about the community and community issues you're having or questions that you have, and we will answer those as we can. But here's some of the common issues that we constantly get asked about and how to fix some of them. So why do I keep getting a pop-up telling me my web browser needs to be updated? So we have a little new pop-up that starts coming up that tells people if they are using an outdated web browser. So if you are on Internet Explorer 7, there's probably a chance we've told you that it's an outdated browser. This means you did not meet our system requirements for a browser, so please update that browser, and that pop-up will go away. If you continue to hit X and exit out of those pop-ups, we cannot guarantee that your experience on BigMarker will be good, and that you won't have issues. So please update your browsers. Again, this is why we like Google Chrome and Firefox, because they automatically update whether you want to or not, which is nice. Can't log in. So sometimes people do have issues with logins. Usually this happens when they've forgotten their password. BigMarker does require you to have 8 characters, 8 to 32 characters with a number and a letter. So sometimes people do forget what their password is, and that can easily be changed on our forgotten password page. And if for some reason the forget password is not working, if the email goes to your spam box, etc., feel free to email us and we can generate a new password for you so you can change it. Typically, those are the main login issues. You have the main login issues is that people have forgotten the password. If for some reason you're having troubles with logging in with Facebook, Google+, or Twitter, please let us know and we can figure out what the issue is there. Usually those are isolated to the specific user based on Facebook's API, Twitter's API, and Google's API. Also, too, one issue we have with logging in as well, again, is with some of these older browsers, is that the buttons don't show up correctly, etc. So community issues continuing. Can't find my community. So the easiest way to find your community is to log in and go to your BigMarker home. So when you're on your BigMarker home, it shows you all of your communities and conferences that you're a part of. So that's the easiest way to navigate and find your community. It's just to simply log in and go to your BigMarker home, and you will see all of your communities that you are in. If you are having problems with receiving too many emails, it's really easy to shut those emails off. All you need to do is change your notification settings, and you can do so underneath your personal settings, bigmarker.com/settings/notifications. In the upper right-hand corner of your screen when you're signed in, you'll see a picture of yourself or your little emoticon. Sometimes you might see a login button. All you need to do is go click on that picture of yourself and you can change your settings from in there. So we do have if you see your little avatar in the top right-hand corner, that means you're logged in. If you see a little button that says log in, that means you're logged out. So to do any of these things like finding your community, too many emails, etc., basically what you need to do is make sure that you are logged in. So if your community is having other issues, like, for example, you're having troubles uploading a file, uploading a picture, posting to the bulletin, etc., 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 typically it is because you need to update your browser. You might be using just a slightly outdated browser, so please update that first. See if it works then. If it doesn't work, sometimes you do need to check your community settings to make sure that they are on correctly. For example, there is a community setting whether people can post to the community bulletin or not, and your organizer might have actually turned that off for you, which is why you probably can't post to the bulletin. So we do have a question from Tom. I have about 2,500 names in my Gmail contacts. When I enter the first couple characters in the BigMarker invite windows, the names start to scroll sort of. That is, the names start to come up, but not necessarily in alphabetical order, and the entire list seems to come in instead of just a quick set of choices that have been filtered by the order of initial letters I've typed. So how do I set up or import my contacts for email address input? That is a good question. So when you're typing in your contacts, so did you import your contacts at Tom, at one point in time, we used to have an import contacts button on our invitation page. We have since removed that just based on comments we've gotten about importing their contacts, etc. At one point in time, you imported your contacts, correct? And then once you did that, now the names are showing up in a completely randomized order. I don't know why they would show up in a randomized. Oh, you're a new user. Name start to scroll sort of. So you're trying to invite somebody through BigMarker then, like our invitation window, and then Andy's going to take a quick look at your account. So basically, we don't have your contacts listed. If you haven't ever uploaded your contacts into BigMarker, even when you signed in with Google, we don't take your contacts and have them on our account, at least that I know of. So my guess is what's happening is you're not actually seeing your contacts in there correctly because they might not be in there. So we can probably get you set up so you can import those contacts so it'll be easier to use. Because I know mine, I think, is in alphabetical order. And when I start typing, it actually brings up the contact list. But Andy's going to take a deeper look. That's a pretty specific question about your account. So we'll figure out what's going on. So the community settings. So some of the issues you may run into on your community are just purely things that you can actually change inside of your community settings. So for example, if you go into your community settings, so if you're the organizer of your community, you have your bulletin, your calendar, your conferences, your members, your about, and then your settings. And then under your settings, you have your community name on your community profile, your URL, overview, etc., etc. More information about your community that you can fill out. You also have your privacy and visibility section, your application questions, your members, your membership applications, your membership dues, your subscription and billing, and your treasury. So all of the things that you can find inside your community, you need inside your community settings, are all right here on the left side for you to easily access. So for example, you charge dues for your community. You can see all those dues in your treasury. If you need to pay your bills or change your credit card, you can go to the billing section and subscription section of your community. If you want to look at everything else, you just easily click to go there. So one of the things that sometimes you would like to do is remove members. And the easiest way to do that is under your community settings. You can go to members on the left here. Click members, and then you'll see somebody's name. So right here we see Joe Yeoman. So this is me, Joe Team BigMarker. And you can see I'm an organizer of this group. If you click this little pencil icon, you'll get a pop-up like this. It says the member role. So we have organizer and member. So the organizer is the administrator of the community. You can have as many organizers as you would like. You at least have to have one. Organizers can do pretty much everything inside the community. They can kick people out, accept applications, transfer money from your treasury, pay the subscriptions, create conferences, etc. Also, too, from this page, you see the little button that says Remove Member. This is where you would remove the member from that community. Also on this page, too, as you would like to know, you can select who can and cannot host conferences, webinars, and post to the bulletin. So if you would ever like to shut that off for a user because they're being a little bit annoying, or you don't want to have everybody in your community create webinars, you can do that here. One of the great things about BigMarker is we have it set up that actually everybody on BigMarker is able to create video conferences and webinars when they are in a community. And you as the organizer can shut that off if you'd like to. So community pricing, I was going to let you guys know about community pricing just in case you had questions about it. So we've recently updated this. If you have communities in the past, those are locked into their old pricing. So if you have a public community that you're paying $20 a month for, let us know and we can actually convert it to the public community or convert it to the private community if you'd like. If you have one of the old free communities, they still are all free. But currently right now, BigMarker is public is free, basically what we are trying to do. So public right here is free. So we have a section where it says get started. All your public events, everything like that is all free. So that's basically people who are trying to do good in this world, trying to meet other people, trying to host public webinars and make the world great. So we want to empower those people and make video conferencing and meeting with your members free. If you'd like to host private conferences now and then, have applications, have access to a few other features, administrative features, feel free to click the private one, and that is $20 a month. And as you say, we have no per user charges, no contracts are set up, never any funny business, you cancel at any time. Okay, so we have one more question. Holly is saying she's looking at my community now, LEWWWP. I only see me, and yet the others have joined the community. Why am I not seeing members? It's a good question. Are you? Well, obviously, you're signed in. Give me one second. So, one of the things, Holly, you had set up in your community, so under your community settings, Holly, was you have selected that allow members to see each other. You had the selection to hit no, so members could not see each other, so that's why everyone was just seeing you. So I'm switching it to, is it okay to switch it to members can see each other, and then when you do, all your members should show up. So if you click now, you'll see all your members, and then I will look into why you still weren't seeing them when you had that button clicked, because you should still have seeing them. Should still be seeing them in that. So I'm going to email that to myself. So I will look into that issue of why. Because you as the organizer were supposed to be able to see them all. I'll look into that right now. Okay, cool. So we're moving on to some of the conference issues. So we have a quick question by Eric. So why is the video and audio out of sync? So how BigMarker's video conferencing platform works is that there are multiple different feeds going into eventually one stream that processes through a server, and then it sends back out to you as the attendee slash user or host, whatever you want to call it yourself. So what is going on is our audio and video are actually on two separate streams. In the very near future, hopefully, they are being upgraded to one stream, and when that happens, there will be in sync. So they will be 100% in sync. Whereas right now, because they are slightly off, is that there is not going to be a perfect sync between the audio and the video. And the slower your internet speed the slower your internet speed is, the slower the audio sync between the two of them. And two, on the time frame for that, with development on any of the conference room features. So one of the things we like to talk about with support and system requirements with BigMarker's conference room is that video conferencing is a very, very, very complex piece of technology. And we're a small team here. We try to fix and upgrade things as fast as we can, but things do take a long time, especially in the conference room, to complete. So it's very difficult to actually tell you what day things are going to be published or even give you a time frame on them. I have absolutely no idea. myself when it is. I'm hoping sooner rather than later. I know that's one thing that they're going to work on as soon as we publish screen sharing. So, conference room issues. We do have this can't find my conference. So the first question is to ask is, did you RSVP for it? If you have, follow the links in the emails you have received, and that's the easiest way to find the conference. If you created it, you'll receive all of these different confirmation emails. You get one 2 hours before the event, one 15 minutes before the event, and also two, if you scheduled it far enough in advance, you'll get a in-between time email too, reminding you of a checklist of what to do. You can follow those links to get to the conference landing page. If you have RSVP'd for it too, you can also log in and go to your personal home, much like your community. You can find your communities, and in that section, you can actually see all of the conferences you've RSVP'd for, and all of the ones that you're allowed to actually attend, either you were invited to or are happening in your community you can go to, and from there you can find them as well. If you did not RSVP from them, follow the invite link or go to bigmarker.com/find, and you can look there to see if they are public. If you had just heard about the group or know your group is hosting it, you can also go to your group's homepage, your community's homepage, and see the upcoming conferences there. To attend any conference, you do need to be logged in as a BigMarker member, so that's just one thing to know too. So to attend, please log in. So this is the conference landing page. So once you get to this page, it's very easy to navigate. We have the RSVP button, the information, et cetera, et cetera. So you click to RSVP, and also too, at the time the conference happens, you'll see this big Enter Conference button, so that you can enter the conference 30 minutes before the conference time as a host. So if you organize a community or you're hosting the conference, you can enter 30 minutes. You can enter 30 minutes before the conference. So that gives you 30 minutes to upload all your files, make sure your sound and audio is working, your video and audio is working, and then 15 minutes before the time, your attendees can enter as well. So they can make sure they can host that. So, Enter Conference button did not show up. So sometimes people can't find the Enter Conference button. You saw that it was there. This is how big it is. So sometimes they can't see it. These are the reasons why. Sometimes you might need to reload the page. We are building it, so there is a pop-up, so it'll pop up at the minute mark. So it's supposed to pop up, but if it doesn't, reloading the page helps out. Is it 30 minutes before the start time for host? Is it actually 15 minutes before the start time for host? So obviously you will not see a Enter Conference Room button 31 minutes before the conference starts. Can't get into the conference room. So obviously everybody here got into the conference room just fine. But for some reason, if you're talking to one of your attendees, or you yourself are maybe on a different computer, and you find yourself can't get into the conference room. So the first thing to see is, did you receive an error message? So when you enter the conference, we do take you through our pre-flight test. And if you failed any of the pre-flight requirements, sometimes that means you can't get into the conference room. So we test for your browser. We test for if you have a microphone and a webcam. And we also test to see if you meet our internet speed requirements. So how that works is that pings our server, etc. So even if you say you have fast internet at home, sometimes based on where our server is located and how things are working, you may not hit the 1 megabyte per second connecting to the server. That's just one thing to know. So if you fail any of those, that's probably one of the reasons why you did not get into the conference room. So please follow those messages. So are you following the system requirements that we went through earlier? Most likely for people who couldn't get into the conference room, they are not following those system requirements. Again, they're using IE7, outdated versions of Flash, trying to log in on their iPhone or iPad, etc. So again, following the system requirements usually fixes these errors. Do you meet the internet speed requirements? Again, consistent internet connection, 1 megabyte. If you are in Kansas, rural Kansas, trying to log on to BigMarker through a dial-up phone line, it's probably not going to go well. So please try not to do that. Are you also conferencing somewhere with a firewall? So we do experience, because we are Flash-based, some businesses. So if you were to try to log on to BigMarker from a hospital, for example, you'll probably get blocked by the IT department's firewall. They're trying to block YouTube, etc. So one of the things to get around it is to ask them to open port 1935 is the port to open, and that should help you out and get you into the conference room. So it's something to know if for some reason you are hitting a firewall. The easiest way to tell if you're hitting a firewall is at the last end of the enter the conference room button, and it'll just sit there and spin and just keep spinning and spinning and spinning. Usually that means you have a firewall blocking you from getting into the room. And as Andy said, most of these issues can be solved by just updating the browser. So here's some more conference room issues. Can't share my audio and video. If you're in a webinar, which we're in a webinar mode right now, the host may have your access turned off. So I have the attendee controls turned off. It's just me sharing my audio and video. So that's why you can't share your audio and video in this session. The other thing to check if you can't share your audio and video is your computer's personal settings. So for Apple, you can go into your settings and see if you actually have your microphone on mute, if you have your webcam disabled, etc. Check your flash settings. So this is a little trickier. You have to right-click in the room, and you have to go check to make sure your flash settings are all correct. Sometimes people hit not allow when the flash pop-up comes up, and then flash remembers that, so you want to come in 2 months, and then it won't let you share your audio, and you have to go and put the BigMarker allows it. So we also have to make sure your another application isn't on, so your webcam can be used by one application at a time. So please do not have Skype going at the same time as BigMarker. Sometimes people have it open in the background as well. Or if you're plugging in a USB webcam, typically that launches a third-party program by that from that USB webcam. When that happens, that is engaging the webcam at that time. So sometimes our website can't log into it. Try switching browsers. You would be surprised. You're using Firefox, you download Chrome, launch Chrome, and then it works perfectly on Chrome, again, because it's an updated browser. Sometimes if you're on Google Chrome, they have a pop-up where it's a double opt-in for sharing your audio and video. Google Chrome is wonderful because it has its own internal flash system and an external flash system. So sometimes you have to allow both flash systems to actually share your audio and video. You should be able to see that pop up right next to your URL bar. It's gray. It's very easy to miss. It blends into the conference room. So sometimes that's something to know if you are on Google Chrome, and you might need a double opt-in before you can actually share your audio and video. And also, too, the last thing is make sure you move past the preview screen. When you first enter the room as a webinar host, you can actually see a preview or a meeting. You see a preview of you sharing your audio and video. That is not actually you sharing your audio and video. That's just a preview screen. So you have to hit done and continue to actually go through and share your audio and video. You'd be surprised how often that happens. Just that people are actually think they're sharing, but they are not. So can't hear anyone. Make sure your computer is not on mute or low volume. Do you meet the system requirements again? Check your flash settings as well. Sometimes flash will turn that stuff off. And then try another browser if you cannot hear anyone. Also, too, if you can't hear anyone, there might be a chance that nobody's actually sharing their audio as well. So you can go to the People tab, and on the People tab, you can see who actually is sharing their audio and who is not sharing their audio. The audio is laggy, distorted, or echo-like. So echo is really easy to fix. Typically what happens with echo is you'll have two people sharing a computer, having their computer in the same section together, the same actual room. So you have two people video conferencing together, both microphones being shared. So obviously each computer is picking up their other microphone, so it's creating an echo. You can also have echo because somebody's settings on their computer do not allow us to do the echo cancellation correctly, so they're just having feedback run into their microphone. So that sometimes happens. So that usually does happen with external speakers. We do have echo cancellation on BigMarker, but it only records for so long and watches it for so long. So that's something to know, that if somebody's using speakers further away from their computer, sometimes it will pick up echo. To see how echo's going, what you do is you go to the People tab, and let's say I'm sharing my audio and Andy's sharing his audio, and I'm talking, and you'll see a flicker on his audio that it's picking up his audio as well when I'm talking. That means you have an echo problem, and the easiest way to solve that is to mute the other people. So if you mute them, echo goes away. Audio is laggy or distorted. This is usually caused by either a faulty microphone in your computer or you're just having low and inconsistent internet speed. Again, you need at least 1 megabyte per second to send audio and video. If you have slowing internet, what'll happen is it'll send pretty bad and distorted audio. So that's just something to know. And if somebody's having distorted or echoey audio, just mute them and continue on to the conference. Conference issues, here's one other issue as well, is sometimes somebody's in the conference room twice. We call this the ghosting issue. This is a bug on BigMarker that is currently being fixed right now. So this is an error on our end that we are fixing and we know of. Basically what happens is when a person on BigMarker has inconsistent or internet connection or is lost, they're usually dropped from BigMarker. And then when they're dropped, our conference room doesn't recognize that they're dropped fast enough. So when they re-enter back in, it logs them in as 2 people. Sometimes you'll see a ghost, empty webcam, etc. So this is being fixed right now. So hopefully that is published very soon. And when that happens, that'll be great because that'll fix that problem. There's really nothing you can do if that's what's happening, the ghosting issue right now. That person can just exit out of the browser, close the browser all entirely, wait a little bit, reload the browser, and enter again. Also, too, sometimes if you have somebody in the conference room twice, is they might actually be in the conference room twice, which includes having another tab or window open. So if you see that Joe Yeoman is in the conference room twice and he complains about an echo and hates hearing that echo and is getting a screech, you can kick one of those users out because he or she has the conference room open twice, which happens. Okay, we're continuing on with some more conference issues. Can't upload the presentation. So we suggest uploading presentations as PDFs because of formatting reasons. So if it won't upload as a PowerPoint, try saving it as a PDF. Make sure that it is under 10 megabytes as well of a presentation. So if you have a really large one, just make sure that you can't upload 1 gigabyte presentation, unfortunately. Make sure you're using an updated browser. We've had recently people using outdated versions of Firefox trying to upload presentations, and it won't upload. So that's just something to know. And then also, too, make sure you're actually on the presentation screen and that you're the presenter. You'd be surprised how many people say they can't upload their presentation, and they are not actually in the presentation layout or the presenter. So they haven't made themselves the presenter or are in the presentation tab. So the presentation did upload, they just weren't there to see it. Why does my presentation look bad or funky or distorted? So again, we talked a little bit about all of the information from your computer being sent to a centralized server and being sent out to all of your attendees. Well, sometimes when that happens, the presentations get distorted. Saving them as a PDF will solve almost all of your formatting issues. So if you're having the bottom of your presentation cut off, you're having problems with how Microsoft Word looks in BigMarker, feel free to save them as a presentation. And again, also to let you know as well, is our presentations are horizontal compared to vertical. So something to remember is if you are doing Microsoft Word or some other presentation type materials is trying to save them more horizontally than vertically. And then they'll look better and fill out more of the space compared to the up and down. Why do I keep getting kicked out? Well, one of the reasons might be is the host is kicking you out. In that case, you do get an alert that says you've been kicked out and removed by the host. Most likely is you've lost your internet access. And when that happens, you do get a warning to tell you why you have been removed. It tells you that your internet has stopped or slowed and we're trying to reconnect you. Sometimes it can actually be caused also by firewall. We've seen firewalls in the past that don't kick in until 5 minutes into the conference room, etc. So how do I end my conference? You can click the exit button in the top right-hand corner of your conference room, and that brings you back to your conference room landing page. That's a little tip. And then two is a tip from Andy is make sure to save your presentation as a PDF and then test it in a test conference before the day of your webinar. Another great thing about BigMarker is you can create as many conferences as you would like. You can also delete them too. So feel free to create as many tests or practice webinars in your community as much as possible, and then just delete them afterwards if you'd like. You can delete them on, here I'm going to go back a few slides quick. On your conference room landing page, there is a little button. So Edit Conference. You can click Edit Conference, and this will bring a pop-up, and at the top right-hand corner of that pop-up will be a little button to delete it. Once you've deleted it, it'll be gone forever from your community, so you can actually delete it. And again, as Andy's mentioning, please do not test your conference 15 minutes before the conference time. Where is my recording? Once the recording is processed, you will, one, be sent an email telling you it's been processed and a link to where to watch it. You can also find it on your conference room landing page, so your recording processes and prints right there. So it's the same URL as before to make it easy for yourself. Can't watch the recording. You can watch the recording on Firefox or Google Chrome. Those two web browsers work the best. They show the audio and video perfectly. The Safari and Internet Explorer sometimes have troubles with the recording. So try watching that on Google Chrome or Firefox. You can also publish it to our BigMarker YouTube page, and then on that page you can see it perfectly. So on the day of your conference, to go back to these tips, is please save your presentation as a PDF. Test your system in the demo room. Test your presentation in the demo room. Just remember the demo room is public. Anybody can be in there. Enter the conference room 30 minutes before the start time. Attendees can enter 15 minutes before. And if you're having technical issues, email support@bigmarker.com. Please do not wait until 10 p.m. to test your conference when we're all at home. Please, 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 please test it. Test it beforehand. And then some other tips too. Updating your browsers and computer regularly. That's pretty good in the internet age now. So when you get that download button that pops up that tells you please update your virus protectionware, please do it. Test your system in our demo room. Test your presentations. Create test conferences. So when scheduling a webinar, we suggest at least a week. All of the rule books and guidebooks say give yourself 2 weeks to help promote it if you're doing an actual webinar. And then here's our contact information as well. And I will begin answering questions now. Let me see. So I know we had one earlier on the ICM at college that was supposed to be good. I mean, you can keep your videos out. If you don't want to see my video, my face, you can actually click to do that to make your presentation square. And I can unshare my video as well. But that's a good question. ICM College, and as Andy mentioned, we'll take that to our developers. I really don't have that. That is beyond my technical expertise. I know enough to fake it, but that is something that I would not know. I have noticed that the built-in video recorder tends to drop frames, which is odd since my remote recording are complete. Do you have any idea why this happens? I do not. I think this just has something to do with how many, when it sends out the information back out. Because that's the thing is we record, it's all information that's just being streamed to the server. So that's where it records. So when it sends it out to the server and then sends it back, there must be a delay in those. But as Andy's mentioning, those are questions for our engineers/developers. Andy and I are marketing guys, support guys, etc., down to the fact that how can we help you do things compared to actually some of the technical stuff is a little tougher. But I think it probably has something to do with when it's coming back. again, the recording is a one-way stream up there compared to the two-way stream down and back. Tom, sorry to be a pest. Oh, you're not a pest. But how can we test the conference, not test the system requirements? So the easiest way is inside your community. Give me one quick second. I got to switch presentations quick. So inside your community, basically what you would want to do inside this community, so you're on, for example, a community organizer, you can click host a conference or a new conference, and then when you do that, you can go through the conference creation wizard. So you have your basic set information, you have your who is hosting, you have your sell tickets, other options, create a conference. So basically you just actually create a test conference. We don't have a specific test conference feature on BigMarker. You would just need to create a new conference. But every conference you can create as many conferences as you want in your community. So feel free to just create as many test conferences as you would like. There's no problem with that. So you can do that and go through the creation process and actually test through the conference. So you can do it quickly and then you can delete it afterwards, which is nice. So if you don't want to see it. Basically, you just create your conference like you create the other one and you just call it test conference. Tom's testing BigMarker. Can I test it with my PowerPoint PDF earlier in the day and then delete it? Do I need to have someone else on the conference with me to be seen? Is there a way to test my conference without anyone seeing it way earlier in the day or way before the day? So when you're creating your conference, you can create it. You just create your test conference when you really want to have it. So I wouldn't schedule it beforehand. So one of the nice things is the date and time. So we have date and time, February 19th, 2014. We have 2:30 p.m., 1 o'clock, 1 hour long. So you can schedule the conference to happen at the exact time you're trying to host it. We do these by 15-hour increments. So if you were hosting a conference, let's say 4 p.m., and you wanted to test it out at 1 p.m., you can just create it to open at 1 p.m., test conference, description. Don't invite anybody, just create it. And then as soon as it's done, delete it. And that's easy, and then people won't see the presentation. You can get in there, do the presentation, upload it yourself. So imagine if I was doing this and nobody was in here. You can easily do that as much as you want. In fact, you can even record it. We have people on BigMarker that don't actually invite people to their conferences. They just do them to post recordings and then do what they want with those recordings. So that's something you can do. If you're worried about your specific community seeing it, Laurette, what you can do is you can always create another community too that's just a practice community. Again, public communities are free on BigMarker, so you can create a free public practice community and then just try out things on BigMarker or just have that free public community. And just as soon as everybody joins, you just kick them out. Also, Laurette, too, since of your community, I know specifically your community, you have a community that has the privacy options. So one of the privacy options in a private community is when you click private right here on the second step, you'll get a little section right here that opens up that says invite only. So if you have one of the private communities, you can do the invite only, and then when you do that, nobody else can see it unless they've been invited. So all your members in your community can't even see that it exists. Oh, wonderful, Laurette. That would be good. In fact, it looks like you have quite a few people already RSVP'd for your conference today. Again, filling up fast. Sebastian said, is it possible to download this presentation in case of problems? So this specific presentation or presentations in general? And I guess the answer to those questions is no, there is no specific way to download them. So if you would like to share your presentation with your audience afterwards or before your conference, you can actually post your presentation to the conference page. So if you're on your conference page, there is a section, I'll zoom in quick, conference page, we have edit, enter conference. Right down here, there's a little section that says share. And you can actually share files on that conference page, and then everybody who's part of that conference will be emailed that conference. If you would like, I can share this presentation after the conference as well. And then you'll have access to it. Sometimes I forget to do that. The second link I've posted there is make_mark. That takes you through the community creation process, and you can create a community there. And then Lorette is correct. Please try to upload them as a PDF as well. And then Lorette, send me an email when you've created that community, okay? And then I can join to make sure that testing and everything okay. All right, cool. So these are our contact information as well. So if you do have questions after this event, please feel free to email us at andy@bigmarker.com or joe@bigmarker.com, and we're usually pretty good about getting back to you as fast as possible. You can also follow us at any of these places. Again, check out our Help Center, our blog, our YouTube page, our Facebook page, our Twitter page if you want to see any recent announcements about BigMarker or things that are happening on the website. If you are making PowerPoints, El Sol, there is a section under Save when you save as, to save it as a PowerPoint. As a PDF. So you can save any of the Microsoft Office Suite tools under Save As. Same with any of the Mac Suite tools. You can actually, when you're under Save As, you can select PDF as one of the documents to save as. In fact, you can even do older PowerPoints as well. So if somebody's having a problem uploading your newer PowerPoint, you can save it as the 1995 version of PowerPoint. I don't know why you would, but you could. All right, wonderful. If nobody has any more questions, Andy and I will say adios.